One of the things we aim to do at Solving Water, a Xylem podcast, is shed light on the myriad opportunities we have to make water more affordable, safe, and sustainable for everyone around the world. And while there are a lot of obvious ways Xylem is doing this in partnership with our global colleagues and customers, there are just as many indirect ways Xylem is solving water. And we're continuing to deliver on that promise. In advance of MINExpo 2021, the preeminent mining industry exhibition, we're featuring a two-part series to introduce our listeners to the essential role that water plays in mine operations and Xylem's holistic approach to ensuring water works efficiently across the entire mine water cycle. MINExpo takes place September 13th through the 15th in Las Vegas. Tune in to Solving Water for this preview experience and come see us at booth 8591 in Central Hall 5 to speak with our Mining Safety and Health Administration certified experts and to learn more about how we can help you solve your biggest mine water challenges. Here's the show. Hello, and welcome to part one of a two-part series on mining with Xylem Business Development Manager for our America's Industrial Business, Jessy Parmar. I'm your host, Amanda Holloway, and I'm really excited to share with you all yet another industry where we're working with our partners to solve water, and that's the mining industry. The first episode in this series overviews the mining industry, including typical challenges facing today's mine operators and Xylem's holistic approach to smart water management. So welcome, Jessy. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Amanda.
Before we get started into the meat of our conversation, wondering if you can just give a little bit of background on yourself with our audience.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been with Xylem for 6 years now. 4 of those years I've been in sales, primarily focused in industrial sales for the flight business or submersible product line. Before joining Xylem, right when I graduated from university, I worked at John Crane, more on the failure analysis side and more oil and gas focused. My background is engineering, mechanical, to be specific. And as of recently in my business development role, I've had more of a water management focus across the industrial sector. So lately it's been around mining.
Great. And, we have a pretty broad range of capabilities when it comes to water management in mines. But, maybe we could take a step back and just provide our listeners with a general overview of typical mining operations and how Xylem supports them.
Yeah, for sure. So mining is a very unique sub-vertical. So it consists of many different processes. And how we examine it is through water management, given that we're a water utilities focused company. So we divide it into 9 separate operations or processes, if you may. So the first one being source water. So where you're going to be collecting your water from, whether it's a body of water or if it's being trucked in. Then there's that element of boosting. Water boosting is another phase that we look at. Dewatering, very common regardless of open pit or underground processes. And then process water is one that we've started to focus in on quite a bit now. As you know, sustainability, ESG are very huge within the industry. And so if you look and evaluate any given mine, there's about 70% or more process water on site. So, and when you look at business and the cost of doing business increasing, process water is a huge area of focus for all these mines. Then there's dust suppression, fire protection. One area that is new, somewhat new to us, pipeline inspection. So that ties in directly with ESG as well. That's something that I feel has been overlooked quite a bit. But we have it's a niche market, but we have a unique offering within that pipeline inspection segment. And then finally, there's the environmental monitoring and the wastewater and reuse.
So then, that is quite a few different areas to focus on. But we're gonna start by in this episode, we're gonna start by talking about some of the more ubiquitous water related challenges that mine operators are facing. So if you can kind of go through those with us, the more universal challenges, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. So every mine's operation is going to be different and unique in its own ways. But the way that I look at it and what I've seen over the years that has been a common challenge across each of them One, and it's a hot topic right now, is around water quality and scarcity. So water isn't as abundant as we once thought it was. So with that being said, we need to start evaluating recycling our processed water. So that's where that water quality segment and aspect comes in. Another big topic for mining end users is operational continuity and efficiency. I had mentioned just a little bit earlier that the cost of doing business is rising, and that's a challenge in any given vertical that you evaluate. And so when you know that the cost of doing business is rising, you have to take a look at your equipment, your assets on site, and start evaluating them from the perspective of efficiency. If you're going to be focusing in on the products that deliver higher efficiency, you then minimize your production downtime, which essentially saves you a great deal of money. And then the third one, regulatory compliance. ESG is huge, so there's a lot of pressure from environmental lobby groups out there. The industrial sector as a whole gets a bad rap when it comes to its effects around the environment. And so that's another hot topic and a challenge for the industrial sector and for mining.
Join Xylem at MINExpo 2021 in Las Vegas, September 13th through the 15th at booth 8591 in Central Hall 5. Our MSHA certified experts will be there to help you navigate the complex world of mine water management. Whether you have a large-scale project to implement or just need support for a single aspect of the water cycle. And visit us at xylem.com/MINExpo 2021 for more info. Subscribe to Solving Water, a Xylem podcast for fresh content on a wide array of water-related topics every 2 weeks. Okay, so then to address these challenges, Xylem takes a holistic approach to mine water management. Can you help our audience understand what this means?
Yeah, for sure. So what I look at and how I define holistic approach is we take a look at whatever the customer or end user's problem is. And then when we're going about solving their challenges, we're looking through the wide variety of solutions that we have in our product portfolio. And the reason why I say solutions and focus more on solutions rather than the product is by taking that perspective, you're accomplishing more for an end user. So that's ultimately what you're trying to achieve when you're taking a holistic approach. If you're going to focus in on one of the processes, you're not really working as efficient as you can be.
You know, when I think of holistic, I also think about looking at the whole water cycle or the entire value chain. So yes, you're working with each customer to identify individual needs at their mining sites, but there's also this opportunity to kind of look at the entire value chain. And so if you can talk to us a little bit about what are those areas that you're evaluating when you're working with our mine operations to include this holistic value chain.
Yeah, so the three areas that I break it up into are productivity, reliability, and sustainability. So from a productivity point of view, we're looking at production uptime. That's what we're focused in on. And when you're looking at your assets, like your rotating equipment, you're examining it from the best efficiency point. The rule of thumb that I use, given that a lot of my experiences in the submersible market has been 50 to 125% of that best efficiency point. That's considered ideal pumping. And so you're reducing the amount of wear and tear that you're putting on your pump, which then again is saving you money because you don't have that unplanned downtime. So when you're selecting your equipment and trying to determine what the right type of equipment for the job is going to be, there's many factors that weigh in on your decision. So your head and flow is going to be one of those factors. Location, where your asset is going to be, power, and if there's a power limitation going between electric versus diesel, etc. Controls, solid content, and physical size of your rotating equipment. So that's how I look at it from a productivity point of view. So the second one that I mentioned is reliability. With reliability, I focus in on efficiency. They're directly related. And so the more efficient your product and the closer you are to your best efficiency point, that's going to reduce the amount of wear and tear that you're going to have on your asset, which if you look at the full life cycle of your pump, that's saving you a great deal of money. So a lot of these end users within the mining space don't necessarily evaluate those secondary costs associated to unplanned downtime. And so they rely on us to evaluate that. And then finally, the last area that I mentioned is sustainability. So just being more conscious of discharge rules in the respective regions that we're going to be operating in on, and having that visibility, leveraging the M&C equipment that we have so that we give our end users greater visibility on water quality, and then what it means, and then whether there's going to be a form of treatment that's going to be involved in their processed water, or if it's safe to discharge. Okay.
And then I just wanted to mention something on the back of your last comment in terms of sustainability. You said M&C equipment. Just for our listeners, M&C stands for monitoring and controls. So just making sure everybody understands what you're talking about there. Do you have any examples of any mine operations that are doing these things really well, whether it's productivity, reliability, or sustainability, or potentially all three?
Yeah, for sure. When I go through the examples, I won't obviously list the geographical regions or the end users, obviously for proprietary reasons. But when we're looking at it from a productivity point of view, an example that comes to mind for me is we were challenged on a mine site where the end user wanted to have remote visibility on their dewatering, especially in the summer months where they expected heavy rainfall. Given that it was remote, there was that added safety that had to be involved. So they were originally using submersible pumps, but as you know, with submersible pumps, you have to do that physical install in that remote area. So there's that element of safety that's involved. So the team got together, they evaluated what the challenges were, and we came to propose using diesel-driven units, so that overcame that safety issue. And then we built a custom monitoring control station where they had that remote visibility on their asset and were able to monitor and control their operations remotely. So when I think productivity, that's a great example for me that's always resonated and stuck with me. In regards to reliability, one that I look at is our mixers. Mixers are certainly something that no one ever really considers in mining operations, but we had one of our end users that was constantly pulling their dewatering pump. And given that our dewatering pumps don't handle a great deal of solids in relation to a slurry pump, it was in a slime sump. What we ended up doing was putting in a mixer that would help resuspend all the particles, and it made it that much easier for our electric submersible to operate. And it greatly reduced the amount of wear and tear that was seen by that dewatering submersible pump. And then finally, from a sustainability perspective, I mentioned that a new area of focus for us was around pipeline inspection. So we were working with an end user, and it was more of a proactive measure for them just because of the fact that they were around a local community, and then again, because of the environmental aspect. So they wanted to check their discharge lines across their operation to see if there was any leaks in those discharge lines, because as you may all be aware of, there's been many articles throughout the number of years around discharge lines leaking and causing havoc in local communities. So we used one of our peer technology inspection tools to see if there was any sort of leaks in that discharge pipeline, and then gave them a report to let them know if there were any and if there wasn't any.
That's all really interesting, especially the mixer piece of it. Where I sit in the business and in our rental solutions and service solutions side of things, we're looking at mixers as an opportunity to get those out into the field on a more temporary equipment rental basis. And Just really interesting to hear, that you've kind of innovated this way to help our products just be that much more effective with the addition of the mixers. So really cool. So mining is actually a perfect topic for Solving Water right now because we're gearing up for MINExpo in September. And MINExpo could be referred to as the Olympics of mining. This trade show occurs once every 4 years, or in this case, every 5 years because of COVID. We're really looking forward to being there this year and reconnecting with our friends, our colleagues, in the mining industry. And so, I thought it would be a good way to kind of wrap up this first episode. If you can just give our audience a snapshot of what they can expect from Xylem at MINExpo this year.
Yeah, for sure. Like I mentioned, for us, taking a holistic approach is very important. So expect the team to do just that with their booth and the orientation of the booth. So you're going to have various products showcased within our booth, but then each product will have a unique story to tell. But overall, you'll be able to tie each of those unique stories together and see that we're taking a holistic approach and helping you solve your water management problems. So the team's going to be leveraging a lot of digital and showcasing it in every way possible, just to highlight that greater visibility, the greater visibility that you get when you leverage digital technologies in your M&C. I know this day and age, given that we're all trying to navigate through the pandemic, that remote monitoring is very important. And so that's going to be a piece that's going to be showcased quite a bit throughout our booth as well.
Fantastic. Well, Jessy, thank you for this great overview of modern mine operations, including the primary challenges and Xylem's unique approach to smart mine water management. I look forward to speaking with you again in 2 weeks about the importance of a customized mine water management strategy and digitalization.
Thank you for having me, Amanda.
Make sure you subscribe to Solving Water, a Xylem podcast, anywhere you get your audio content to be notified when the next episode in our mining series publishes. Thank you to our listeners for joining us today. More information about Xylem's holistic approach to mine water management can be found in today's show notes. As always, please reach out to me, amanda.holloway@xylem.com, with feedback or show topic recommendations. The Solving Water podcast is produced and distributed by Xylem, a global water technology company of more than 16,000 employees committed to solving critical water and infrastructure challenges worldwide. Stream, download, and subscribe